I've talked to you briefly, but you know, several of the people in this room are veterans, and there's an alarming statistic of Afghanistan and Iraq veterans returning that are unemployed. Now, and specifically in my case, and a lot of other people's cases that I know, they're Guard Reserve member. Oklahoma, being as red a state as it is and being full of, you know, God-fearing patriots, have a tendency to not want to hire Guard Reserve member for the obvious reason that they're afraid they're going to hire someone and then 2 weeks later the Uncle Sam is going to call them to Iraq or Afghanistan. Now, while there are some federal protections, and I'm just now going through Chapter 40, I admit I'm very clueless to this position, I'm trying to read through it. What would, if elected, what could you do to help encourage or inspire Oklahoma business owners to consider a little more leniency on the Guard and Reserve members and any kind of veterans for that matter?
I think that's a great question. As a former reservist myself, I know how important that is. And the way I look at it is, one of my proposals has been to merge the Human Rights Commission and a few other agencies into the Department of Labor. The Human Rights Commission deals with discrimination claims. Now, we already prevent discrimination based on marital status and sex and religion and these things. I see no reason why we shouldn't include military status in that too. Now, obviously there are going to be specific exceptions, just as there already are for sex and religion, which is why I think we need to have someone that understands the labor and employment laws and the regulations that go along with them. But this is the way I look at it. When a country is at war, the entire country is at war. All right, it's not just the people in uniform. And if that means that businesses have to sacrifice a little bit too in hiring veterans, then I don't make any apology in saying that they need to.
First of all, we do have federal regulations to deal with it. On surface, I'm not in favor of more regulations, more mandates. I think what I am in favor of is more job opportunities in Oklahoma. And there's a couple of things that I would like to propose that would benefit not just veterans, but everyone. And specifically, workers' compensation reform. The average work comp claim in this state costs $18,000 to settle. In Texas, it's $7,000. I've talked to owners of companies who pay hundreds of dollars less per employee in Oklahoma, even though the wages are the same as what they do in Missouri. Why? Because of the elevated cost of workers' compensation. You know what it does. Every person here that owns a business knows what it does. It defrauds the worker of their wages. It's a scandal in this state, and it's my first or second thing which I will adhere to. So workers' compensation would do more for veterans' job opportunities in the state to have a real reform. This is a real reform proposal. I do not, on the surface, advocate the Human Rights Commission, which is the SWAT team of enforcement of the nanny state, where they balkanize and prefer this group over that group, that skin color over that skin color, this race over that race. I don't. When did America get to the point to where we're each individual group with preferences? I don't see it that way. I agree with Martin Luther King when he said that a person should be judged on their character and not on the color of their skin. So the whole idea of merging the Human Rights Commission into the Labor Commission means, I guess, you'd have to accept that the Human Rights Commission belongs there. I disagree. And I will respectfully, of your service to the country, say I don't think we need more regulations to do what is right. As an employer employing people for a quarter of a century, I try to hire the very best person for my company to feed my family. And that oftentimes is a veteran.
Can I respond to that? Yes. Okay. I think this is an important distinction, and primary elections should be about distinctions. I do believe the Human Rights Commission should exist. I do believe that we need to enforce non-discrimination laws. That's what does what he says he wants. We don't want people to be discriminated against based on their marital status, based on their sex, based on their religion. We as a people have been divided far too much in the past on those issues. And the last thing I want to do is to tell our people in uniform that it's up to you. You know, go. Don't worry about it if you're discriminated against. No, I do worry about it. That's why we have state governments. We as Republicans have been saying for a long time, federal government, that's none of your business. We can take care of it ourselves. Okay, let's continue to do that. Let's continue to tell the federal government to go take a hike. But you know what? Let's take care of our own backyard too. Let's make sure that we do have fair and equitable workplaces here.
Yes, I would like to respond.
I'm against all discrimination against everyone. I do not believe, though, that the purpose of government should be to prefer one class of citizen over another class of citizen, one race over another race. The federal law deals adequately with discrimination against, I believe, against veterans. And I do know it's tough. It is tough because we have an unprecedented war going on where people in the reserves have been called up repeatedly, over and over again. But I don't think you tackle it by heaping on more regulations, more bureaucrats to enforce more fairness, because inevitably it ends up being one group of people against another group of people. That's a fundamental difference, I suppose. I don't think you enforce fairness by making more regulations. I think the marketplace and our present laws that exist will do an adequate job with that.
Anyone else?